without the ability to influence and persuade, you can't put yourself out there into the world.
Great salespeople understand that it takes 3, 4, or 5 no's to actually get to the yes. Is every sale the same? Well, only if you're in control. See, once you take control of the encounter, once you learn how, you can now make every sale the same.
Warren Buffett was doing a speech with Bill Gates about maybe 10 years ago, and he was asked by a college student, what can we do as students to make ourselves more valuable in the workplace? So you'd think Warren Buffett would say, learn how to pick stocks, learn how to investments, you know, whatever he would say, right? Not what he says. He says, go out and take a course in sales and communication.
Yeah, he did. Dale Carnegie changed his life.
There you go. And that was the point. Because he took that. He says, I took Dale Carnegie, changed without that. You know what he'd be without that course?
Yeah.
He'd be the richest money manager in Omaha, Nebraska that no one ever heard of.
Yeah, and he met his wife that way. The love of his life.
Because without the ability to influence and persuade, you can't put yourself out there into the world and be known for what you really are.
What sales really is the transfer of emotion. That's what's happening when you sell. You're transferring emotion. And the primary emotion that you're transferring is the emotion of certainty. In other words, watch this. You as a salesman, when you enter the encounter, you have to be absolutely certain that your product is the best, makes sense, it's gonna give them the best benefits out there, the best value proposition and so forth, and you are in this state of absolute certainty. So imagine now, we have a continuum of certainty, a line of certainty. So we have this line of certainty, and on one side of the equation we have what's called a 1, and the other side we have a 10. So a 10 represents a state of absolute certainty, meaning your product is the best thing since sliced bread. It's gonna give them exactly what they want benefit-wise. It's the best deal for the money. It's gonna make them feel the whole thing, right? It is just absolutely awesome. That's a 10 on the certainty scale. It is great, the best thing since sliced bread. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have what's called a 1, right? Which is, it's the worst piece of shit in the world, right? It's crap, right? Your product is terrible, it's not gonna work, okay? The benefits don't match up what they need, it's overpriced. I don't even wanna be near this piece of crap because I'll just feel stupid even buying it or even thinking about buying it. That's a 1, right? So here's the first thing you need to understand, that the moment you open up your mouth to speak as a salesperson, you start a sale, the question is this: where is the average prospect, the person you're trying to sell to, where are they on the certainty scale at the beginning? Anyone know? Where are they? Who the f knows? You must be in this state of absolute certainty. Because what's happening is this: what you're doing when you're selling is everything that you say, everything that you do, every tonality you use, every gesture you make, every document you hand them, every phrase that comes out of your mouth are all designed to do one simple thing: to essentially raise the prospect's level of certainty to as close to his 10 as possible. That's what you're doing. The words that you say, the presentation that you make, the tonalities that you use, any documents you have, sales aids, whatever it might be, is all designed to take them from where they are on the certainty scale and move them to as close to where you are as possible. Essentially, you're transferring your white-hot certainty to someone who's at a cooler level, at a lower level of certainty. It's almost like this first law, or I think it's actually the second law of thermodynamics in physics, right? And you study physics. Energy always flows from hot to cold, not the other way around. So you need to be at this white-hot level of certainty. It's exuding out of you, every pore that you have, and we know what certainty feels like and sounds like. We intuitively know as salespeople, and our prospects know as well. We know when someone sounds certain and they have confidence and they're enthusiastic. We know what that looks like, feels like, and sounds like. Just pretend this is like the water line, in the ocean. Here's your water line. I'm the world's worst artist. And when you're on the phone with a client running a straight line pattern, and he's saying, no, 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 you're not like this. It's not going like that. What's happening is this. This is the water line here, right? Water line. Okay, this is essentially success. When he goes above the water line and you see it, he says yes. When he's saying no, he's below the water line. What's happening is this. As you're going, you're getting closer and closer and closer and closer and right. So you don't see the result yet. The same way a guy who's working to build his business, he might not be making money yet, but he's making massive progress below the waterline. And all of a sudden, that last pinch of certainty, and the guy says yes, and boom, you're above the water. The guy just said yes. No, he didn't. He was saying yes the whole time. He was getting close. Yes, yes, yes to certain parts of certainty. He just wasn't there on all 3 tens, or he hadn't lowered his action threshold. So what happens is this. If this is the 3 tens, then lowering someone's action threshold would be what? You'd be essentially lowering the waterline. So you can actually increase his certainty or lower the waterline and make it easier for the guy to say yes. But let me tell you something. When you are running a straight line that's, let's say, minute 1 and minute 60, and he closes here at minute 40, you don't think you're making progress between 1 and 40? You're making massive progress. It's just below the waterline. This is why great salespeople understand that it takes 3, 4, or 5 no's to actually get to the yes. What no is, it's almost a euphemism for saying what? No means I am not certain. That's all it means. When someone says, let me call you back, let me think about it, I want to talk to my wife, or just plain old no, it just means I am not certain. Every sale is the same. They're like, what? I got the looks, right? Those crazy looks. Every sale's not the same. I said, guys, every sale is the same. And then I said, watch. And this visual popped in my mind. I said, it's a straight line. And for the very first time, I drew this long, thin line on the center of the board. It was even a longer board, like 2 boards, right? I said, this is your open. I said, this is your close. I said, and every once in a while, back when you were selling penny stocks, you'd get one of these lay-down clients, we could call them, where everything that you say and everything that you do, the client's like saying yes, 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 from the very beginning all the way to the end. When you ask for the order for the first time, they say, yeah, great, how do I pay? Right? That perfect lay-down sale. Now, I'm sure you all get them every once in a while. We get one of those people who seems to be almost pre-sold before they even enter your funnel. They're almost sold, right? You're just saying they agree with you the whole time. Perfect lay-down sale, but that is the exception to the rule. Most of the time, a straight line sale is the perfect lay-down sale, where everything that you say and everything that you do, the client agrees, they're on board the whole way through, and when you ask for the order the first time, they laugh at all your jokes, you get it? A perfect sale. You ask for the order, they say, yes, great, how do I pay? That's a perfect straight line sale. But most of the time, that's not the way it goes. The typical client wants to go off the line. They have questions, they interrupt you, they have objections. So they try to take you off the line, talking about the price of tea in China, right? You want to keep them on the line. So what we have is these healthy boundaries above and below the line. When you're inside these boundaries, you are in control of the sale. These are the healthy boundaries above and below the line. Because even with myself, very seldom, it's not that I have any more laid down sales than anybody else. I have the same as anybody else. But there's these healthy boundaries. I don't let the sales spiral out of control, because you go off here, outside the boundaries, off to frickin' Pluto, right? Or Uranus, not a good place to be, for most of us at least, right? I don't judge, okay? Pluto or Uranus, right? This is out of control, where you ask someone a question about, a qualifying question. You're trying to gather intelligence, right? And they might start answering your question the right way, but next thing they spiral off. They talk about the price of tea in China, okay? And most people, the problem that they have, most salespeople, is that when someone starts to spiral out and talk about nonsense, you'll jump right into their nightmare because you think the water's warm. Oh, let me get into rapport that way, just not and talk with them. And that's not rapport. Because as soon as you do that, they realize they're in control of the sale. They will assume control of the sale. And once that happens, nothing good happens. Besides the fact that you're branded as a novice, not as an expert. I said, guys, let me tell you something. When you're calling rich people, even poor people, no matter who you're calling, you got 4 seconds. That's all you have. You have 4 seconds to establish 3 crucial things, or else you're done. You can't close anybody because they'll take control of the sale. And once they take control of the sale, it's like you're almost like an outmatched boxer covering up from all the blows. Like, imagine walking into the ring with Mike Tyson, right? And he's barraging, you're just covering up because he's in control, and you get knocked out eventually. That's what's happening to my guys. They're getting knocked out. They were losing control right out of the gate because they were not being perceived as these 3 things. Let me tell you exactly what they are. Number 1, in the first 4 seconds, you must be perceived as, number 1, being sharp as a tack. That you're sharp and on the ball. Number 2, that you're enthusiastic as hell. Enthusiastic as hell. Enthusiasm must be good. And number 3, and most important of all, I'm an expert in my field. You're an expert in your field. You got 4 seconds to establish those 3 crucial things, or you're done. Because if you don't establish them, see, what they roll up to, what they chunk up to, is essentially that you're a person worth listening to. You're worth listening to. And even higher still, because you can help them achieve their goals, help them get what they want. People don't listen to you get you what you want. They do it because they want to get what they want. Sharp as a tack, meaning sharp, on the ball, right? Not a time waster. 2, enthusiastic. Now, I'm not saying, some people will say, oh, come on, people, they see through that enthusiasm. No, they don't. I'm not talking about over the top, oh my God, my pride. That's bullshit. I'm talking about bottled enthusiasm. Below the surface, it could be a whisper, it's a certain way of talking, a certain way of carrying yourself, where they could just tell that you are dead serious about what you have confidence. It's a way of speaking. It's not yelling, and it's not talking fast. I'm talking fast now because I have an hour, right? To get 8 hours of information, so I'm talking about, if I was selling, I'd be speaking slowly, succinctly, and I'd have that bottled enthusiasm just below the surface in your gut. It's about to bubble over, but it never bubbles over because you're in control, because you're an expert. And when you have that way of speaking, and I'll explain how in a few minutes, it's infectious. People want to hear more. They're intoxicated by it. It transfers to someone else. It's an emotional feeling they get. And of course, an expert in your field. Number 3, well, listen, here's the bottom line. We have been conditioned, since we're yay big, to defer and respect experts and figures of authority. Don't buck authority, respect your elders. When you were trained as a kid, you went to the doctor, right? And the doctor asked you questions. You didn't say, what's your education? You didn't ask him questions back. You saw his diploma on the wall. He had a white coat. He had a stethoscope. He was a doctor. Your parents explained, this man's gone through special education. He's an expert in his field. He's here to heal you. You get it? He's a specialist. And you respected him, and you answered his question fully and honestly. Now, I'm sure you've all been, probably later on in life, when they tried to pull the old, let me get the nurse's assistant to ask you the questions, and you're like, yeah, you, I'll answer them. You'll answer them, but maybe with 1 word. You're not going to be even nearly as forthright with the practitioner as the doctor himself. Why? Because you've been conditioned. And then, by the way, they might be just as competent, if not more, at taking notes and doing a certain, that triage. But when that doctor walks in, he's a doctor. That's an expert in his field. If you don't establish these 3 things, you're fighting a massive uphill battle. Because now they are in control of the encounter, and good luck. See, is every sale the same? Well, only if you're in control. See, once you take control of the encounter, once you learn how, you can now make every sale the same.